Thank you very much, everybody, for coming out here on a Friday afternoon. I'm Ian Mendes with the Ottawa Senators, here for this joint press conference with the NCC and the Ottawa Senators. We have Tobi Nussbaum and Cyril Leeder here. We're not going to do one-on-ones or scrums following this, so this is going to be your opportunity to ask any questions that you like. Just maybe raise your hand and I'll try and have a little bit of an order here of how we go. But I'm going to hand it over to Tobi to make an opening statement, and then we'll take questions.
Thanks, Ian. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm delighted to be here with Cyril to announce that the NCC and the Ottawa Senators have reached an agreement in principle for the sale of lands to develop a major event center and arena district in LeBreton Flats. Cet ambitieux projet comprend un développement à usage mixte pour la création d'un quartier dynamique et durable au plein LeBreton qui deviendra une destination de choix pour les résidents et les visiteurs de la capitale. The teams have worked hard over the last year to get here, and on the NCC side, I want to thank my board of directors who have been very helpful, and my colleagues, Bill Leonard, Katie Parrish, Laura Mueller, who are here, and many other members of our team who have worked tirelessly to help us get here. Cyril, I want to thank you, your team, Michael Anlauer. It really has been a very positive, productive, collaborative spirit in which we've entered the negotiations, and really happy that it's gone that way. Nous sommes convaincus que cette entente apportera de grands bénéfices à la région de la capitale nationale. Le centre d'événements majeur et le district d'Arena apporteront de la ville et une vente d'enthousiasme au plein LeBreton. By siting a major event center in our growing downtown core, we will be injecting new energy and excitement into the region, increasing our draw to visitors, and helping to really catalyze the LeBreton Flats development, which will see eventually over 6,000 new homes with a target of 25% affordability. We'll see amazing new parks, incredible public spaces, and a truly dynamic mixed-use neighborhood. So in terms of the agreement of principle that Cyril and I are here to announce this afternoon, the NCC will be selling the land at fair market value, ensuring a fair and transparent transaction that benefits all parties involved. And the NCC has been clear that it is committed to building world-class green and public spaces throughout the development, including building out the two incredible aqueducts on site that will offer new, amazing waterfront spaces in the capital and a way for people to really enjoy other activities and amenities when they come there. Des discussions sont aussi en cours avec la nation algonquine pour assurer à celle-ci des avantages à court et à long terme. Ces discussions visent aussi à faire en sorte que la nation algonquine soit un véritable partenaire dans ce qui s'annonce comme étant une occasion transformatrice pour la capitale du pays. It is important to note, too, that today is not the beginning of the Building LeBreton project. This is really building on other phases of our master plan that we launched close to 5 years ago. In 2021, we announced that Dream Development is building over 600 housing units with 41% affordable housing at the corner of Albert and Booth. Shovels are in the ground already, and the building completion is expected in 2026. In 2022, many of you know that we built and opened new public pathways in LeBreton Flats, linking the area to the Ottawa River and offering all-season public access to the site, which the cross-country skiers have certainly enjoyed in winter. Earlier this year, we signaled the signing of a letter of intent with Cogier and Avenue 31 to build out 1,000 housing units in the Flats phase across from the War Museum. All of these phases will contribute to one of the key 7 principles of the project, which is make it happen. And Cyril, I think our announcement today will also make an important contribution to making it happen. L'annonce d'aujourd'hui est une étape importante. Nous reconnaissons toutefois qu'il reste encore beaucoup à faire. Le processus de diligence raisonnable commence. Dans les mois qui viennent, nous définirons ensemble les prochaines étapes. So we look forward to continuing the collaboration that's been very strong between CSDI and the NCC, and excited that we're joined in our ambition to create a vibrant and sustainable arena district that will act as a catalyst for the revitalization of the downtown core in Ottawa and Gatineau. So we'll, of course, want you to stay tuned for further updates, but that's it for what I wanted to announce this morning.
Yeah. And like I said, we're happy to take questions. Maybe, like I said, just raise your hand and try and identify yourself. Outlet, so just for the benefit of Tobi and Simon.
Bruce Garrick from Post Media. I have a question for both of you, but I'll start with Tobi. It's been a long road to get here. Can you talk about the hurdles involved in this?
It has been a long road, and of course, a key event was Mr. Andlauer's purchase of the team last year, and we thought it was important to give Mike and Cyril and the whole team an opportunity to understand, what the new ownership means for this project. And obviously, the conclusion is it remained a priority for them. I think, some of the key issues which we had indicated flexibility on is one is the team had indicated that for a whole host of important reasons in terms of bringing the project to fruition, it would be much easier if they were the owner of the underlying land. And initially, we had envisioned a long-term lease, but through the negotiations, we agreed to a fee simple sale of these lands. So that was important. A second thing was the initial request for expressions of interest, which we put out when this process started, indicated a land parcel of about 6 acres in size. And through conversation and understanding the needs of the club, we agreed to expand that. So the site that we're talking about in terms of transacting is just over 10 acres. So a significant increase in the land size. So those were, I think, two really important elements of or hurdles that we were able to overcome.
Cyril, a couple of things. Number one, what does it mean to get here? But what lies ahead for you?
Yeah, I think it's the same answer, Bruce, to that question. Is it's a great first step, but we got a lot of work ahead of us here. This allows that work to take place. So, we had the agreement last September. We just weren't able to get into the heavy lifting until we had terms that were acceptable that we could work with. And again, I want to thank Tobi and his team at the NCC. Bill Leonard's here, Katie Parrish, Laura Mueller worked extremely hard over the last while here to get this ironed out. And to thank my team as well, particularly Aaron Crow and Chris Phillips, and we had a real big hand from Neil Malhotra at the end to help kind of put this over the goal line for us. So it just allows the heavy lifting to go forward now, and it's a great step forward.
Colin Costa from Sportsnet. Cyril, a question for you. I guess now having more land to work with as opposed to what the initial thing you were working through with the 10 acres, like what all do you envision or does the team envision doing and making the most of that?
Yeah, Tobi outlined kind of the key things that are different now in this arrangement, and the fee simple was probably the most important. And the size was the second most important. Just today's arena, you need a little more space. The loading docks are bigger, the amenities in the building are bigger, the people spaces are bigger. So that will allow us to have a site now that we can design that around. We haven't done the design work, so all of that, what else will come, needs to be done. It would be unusual to have a downtown venue like this without a public outdoor space in front of the venue. Again, having more land allows that to take place. That couldn't happen in the original plan. So those are a couple of things that we know we'll do better on now when we have this size of site to work with. But as I said to Bruce's question, we haven't done that work yet. We haven't done a detailed design of an arena. This now allows that work to get started and move forward.
Can I just quickly follow up? I guess if you're still working on the design, and obviously is it too early then to have a sense of cost of what an arena would
Yeah, I mean, we're not there yet. This is, again, you're not going to engage in a full-on design process. And to get to your cost, you need, 25, 30%. An architect will tell you 30% of the design work done to get to a cost that you're kind of happy with. And we're a long ways from that.
Wayne Scanlon, Sportsnet. Cy, you and I and several others here have been at these press conferences before on this topic. Why do you think it might be different this time?
I think it's different for a whole bunch of reasons, Wayne. Most notably, we're in a position now where everybody wants this to happen. So the team wants it to happen. Tobi and his team want this to happen. I think the community wants it to happen. We really are at a point where having an arena downtown is going to be great for the Senators. We firmly believe that, downtown Ottawa, Gatineau. But it's also going to be great for the city as well. So I think that the stars are aligned now that the timing is good.
And too early for a timeline on when the arena might?
Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of heavy lifting to do on the reports and the studies we need done. I got a long list of them this morning from Aaron, what needs to get done here. We'll need to go through those, and there's just too many parameters, too many variables to predict how long it's going to take. I know it's years, not months, before a shovel goes in the ground, so it's going to take some time to get to that point, but again, this allows that work to take place and move forward with some earnest now.
Thank you.
Julien Paquette-Ledroit, for both of you on two different sides of the same question, I guess. Why was it important for the Sens to actually be owner of the land, and why did the NCC originally wanted to do it on the other model? Like,
I'll take the first question. I've been through this once before, and I've done a lot of real estate projects. Nothing was more complicated than trying to build an arena. When we built this building in 1994, we started construction. So it's already a very difficult, complex process. Layering in, doing it on leased land makes it even more complex. So we really felt that in order for us to do all this work we're talking about, going forward, make this effort to get this done, we really needed to have a site that we owned. It would give us the reduce the amount of complexity in an already a complex process. So hope that answers your question. But
And I think for our part, we accepted that premise, and generally our default is to transact in terms of long-term leases. And the reason is that the NCC really thinks in 50 and 100-year terms. And part of our role as a federal crown corporation is to anticipate what federal land needs are 100, 150, 200 years from now. So that's generally our default approach for land transactions. But for the reasons Cyril outlined, and given the importance of this project, we made an exception to that and agreed to transact at a fee simple basis.
and at what point there's this big changes, and there's the size of the land as well. At what point did you both agree that these changes were
Well, I would say there was paper being sent back and forth last night.
this morning, this morning,
Yeah.
we still working on details this morning. So
So lots of little details.
yeah, I mean, I think there was a spirit of cooperation all the way through the process, but in a lot of tough negotiations, usually a deadline kind of helps you focus your mind, and I think today's deadline was helpful, and helped us get to a solution. So.
Lisa Wallace with Canadian Press, and this is probably for both of you. This is going to be, multi-purpose development. Is the arena going to be the first phase of this? Is this going to be multi-phase? Are we trying to get everything done at once, sort of? Is that even been figured out yet?
It hasn't, Lisa, but that's a good question, because it was another one of the parameters. Like, in this type of, again, process we were in, we wanted to have more land, more than what we have now, even, because we really wanted to kind of make sure that things were coming on stream at the same time as the arena. One of the best things about being at LeBreton is the fact that it's vacant land, and you're able to work with a vacant parcel of land. But one of the negatives is it's a vacant land, and you're putting an arena in a spot that there's not fully developed yet. So in our agreement, and again, this came in the last few weeks of discussions, the NCC is committed to bringing on other development in the area in the same time frames as the arena. Will it be the same day? Some of it might be. Will it be the next year? That's good too. Just we've got an agreement that will bring that development on at the same time, so that we're not out there by ourselves. And I think it works both ways. I think if I'm a restaurateur, I'm probably more anxious to lease a restaurant at LeBreton if the arena's going up. So I think we can be a catalyst to move that development forward.
Just to follow up, and this might not really be a great question for you, but public transit in this city is a huge issue. I guess, is that being taken into consideration as this development is going to take place, knowing the issues that we're dealing with?
Yes, I think that's obviously an important consideration here. And again, we believe one of the great things about this location is it's right at the nexus point of the Confederation, the east-west, and the Trillium north-south lines of our LRT. So it's right there at that point. Again, we think in 50-year cycles too. This arena is being built for the next 50 years, and we like the fact that it will be right at the nexus for the LRT location. So, and we've got some transitional provisions in our agreement with the NCC that will help us get to that point in time. So.
Philippe Bessette pour TVA. How it is important for the Sens to have a new arena closer to Gatineau?
Well, our owner has spoken about that many times. The importance of being more friendly, more cooperative with the Gatineau market, with the Francophone fan base. So being at LeBreton obviously accomplishes that, but that's not just Gatineau. It's we'll be more central to more of our fan base at that location. So downtown will be downtown as well. That's an important step. If you think about major facilities and the trends now and where they are, most arenas and stadiums are going downtown. When we came out here 30 years ago, that wasn't the case. There was kind of a mix of people going to suburban locations. We think downtown is important. It's a different experience when you're attending a hockey game when you're downtown. You tend to get in the area. You go down there, maybe you meet friends for dinner. You make your way over to the arena. After the game, you might meet friends for a coffee or a drink after the game. You make your way home. Right now, we're not that here, even though this has been a great facility for us. Fans plan their day. They get here in time for puck drop. They get in their car. They go home afterwards. Generally, that's not everybody, but that would be the general. We think it's a much better fan experience when you're in a downtown environment. And being close to Gatineau, I know the people that I've worked with over the last year, the business leaders, the community leaders, they're excited about the fact of having a downtown arena that's close to them, so they can get to not just hockey games but other events. I think it'll mean more French acts coming to Ottawa as well. If we can have an arena down at LeBreton, I think the events that go to Montreal that now bypass Ottawa, I think we'll have a lot of French language acts coming to the new venue.
My follow-up question is for both of you. You talk about 6,000 units. 25% of them will be for, I don't know the term in English. Affordable. Who bring that argument to the table? It was part of the deal. Who makes sure that it was important for the transaction?
En fait, ça c'est quelque chose que ça c'est quelque chose qu'on exige parce que dans notre plan de LeBreton Flats, alors le plan directrice, on a absolument un but de créer un taux de logement abordable de 25%. Alors ça c'est quelque chose que, oui, pour nous est très très important. So that was something that we talked about, as part of the deal.
Dave Fraser, CBC, what role do you see the city playing from here on out, and what role do you see specifically for taxpayers in the city contributing to this project?
Yeah, we're a long ways from getting into details on how we're going to approach this project with the city. We know we have to engage with them now. We've got zoning to work with. We've got a lot of other issues we've got to get through with the City of Ottawa, but today's to talk about the deal with the NCC and the fact now that we've got a site that we can actually work with and start talking about some of those details.
Should there be an expectation that taxpayers will be contributing to this development?
I don't think so. I think if you look at the history in Canada, public venues, whether arenas or stadiums, have not been funded by the taxpayer. Okay, and that's the history. It's not the same in the United States, but that's what we've done in this country, and that would be our expectation going forward as well.
Hi, bonjour, Patrick Foucault from Radio-Canada. I don't know if it's possible to ask a question in French. D'abord, j'aimerais vous entendre en français sur l'échéancier. Est-ce qu'on a une idée quand on va commencer à construire l'aréna, et puis c'est quoi les prochaines étapes, par exemple, avec la ville notamment?
En fait, on n'a pas une date qu'on va ouvrir. En fait, c'est eux qui vont ouvrir l'aréna. Cyril a parlé en anglais du fait que ça, c'est vraiment une première étape. Il y a beaucoup d'étapes qui viennent. Alors, c'est pour ça qu'on n'a pas une date très claire, mais en termes des prochaines étapes, oui, on a maintenant une période de diligence raisonnable et ça va commencer dans les prochaines semaines. Et puis, la dernière question.
Avec la ville d'Ottawa, qu'est-ce
Alors,
qui reste
Cyril
à
a dit
faire?
en anglais que ça va être une conversation qui va avoir lieu dans les prochains mois et années entre les sénateurs et la ville d'Ottawa. C'est clair que la ville va jouer un rôle à propos tout le processus, les permis, etc. Alors, on va avoir absolument établir une relation très, très proche avec eux aussi.
Une dernière question, j'aimerais vous entendre en français sur qu'est-ce que ça va amener à la région centre-ville d'Ottawa en termes d'impact économique, de vie au centre-ville?
Oui, absolument. On est très, très optimiste qu'une arena comme ça va en fait jouer un rôle très, très positif. On va avoir beaucoup d'événements chaque semaine, chaque mois, chaque année qui vont apporter beaucoup de gens dans le secteur de notre centre-ville. Cyril a parlé du fait que peut-être les gens vont dîner avant et peut-être prendre quelque chose à boire après et ça va donner, je pense, un sens d'énergie, de dynamisme dans notre centre-ville. Alors, ça va avoir un effet très, très positif selon nous.
Simon Smith, CBC. Could you maybe, Cyril, talk about the plans for the CTC once the team does move downtown?
We don't have a plan, detailed plan yet. We know that this is an important site for the city. We have had those conversations. It's been clear to us by councillors in this area and the mayor that, you know, if and when we vacate this site, we're going to need to do something special with these lands. So that'll be part of the process, part of the work that'll go on now that we'll be able to get into is what will we do with this site as we move forward.
Bruce Beachman, Post Media. Two questions. One is, can you say what the sale price was for the parcel of land? And the second one, to go back to taxpayers' role, you mentioned that arenas are typically not built with taxpayer money. But I know, like in Edmonton, it was some sort of P3 agreement where the city did put in money, and apparently they got it back. But Ottawa has not had a great record of P3 agreements. And I'm just wondering, do you plan on approaching the city to see if it will? Do you need the city to?
The first question was?
How much for the 10 acres?
Nice.
Yeah, so I mentioned, I think in the intro, that the land will be transacted at fair market value, and that will be established through an assessment, a land assessment, which hasn't been done yet.
And the second question was, what's our plan on the financing? We haven't got that far yet, Bruce. We're again, this is the first major step here is identifying the site, acquiring the site. That'll be part of the work we'll be doing over the next couple of years. I would disagree with you, though, on P3s. We're operating two really effective ones right now, the Bell Sensplex and the Richcraft Sensplex. And if you talk to anybody involved with those, they're highly successful and doing very well. So.
Katie, all the way in the back.
Hi, Katie Griffin, CTV Ottawa. Cyril, you just said if and when we vacate this site. I know it's an agreement in principle, but is there an out in this?
Well, there's a lot of work that has to go. I guess that's why I said that, Katie. You know, that's certainly our plan and our desire is to find a solution that works downtown. And now we've got a site at LeBreton, so that's our plan. And that's be the one we'll be focusing on 100% of our energies.
And can you talk a little bit about, you said years, not months, for shovels to be in the ground, but can you talk a little bit about a possible timeline of exactly what's going to be happening in the coming weeks and months?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you some of the work that has to go in, and then that'll dictate the timing, which, you know, we need to do a number of studies. So you need to do geological, because we got soils we got to deal with. You've got the geotechnical. You've got to have to do a transportation and a mobility study. How do you get 20,000 people in and out of this site on the right way and the right method? So we've got to do that. We've asked about finance. We've got to create a financing plan. That's got to get done. We've got to get zoning has to get done. We've got a number of other studies that we've got to do. Environmental, we've got a site cleanup plan we have to have in place. So there's a bunch of work that has to happen on a site to make this work, and that work now starts in, as I said, in earnest. We have done some of that work. It's not that we've been sitting here not doing work over the last year, but as I said, in earnest with resources and time and money and effort focused on it, that work will now go forward.
Steve at the Hockey News. Just to follow up to Cyril's earlier point, Tobi, about the spirit of collaboration. How would you compare the tone of these latest talks with the 2024 Ottawa Senators with the Senators of the past?
You know, I can only speak to the fact that over the last year, it has been a very productive tone. I think Cyril said it well, that there's a real alignment of interest and alignment of agreement that this site makes sense. And I think through the personalities at play, the commitment, the energy, you know, of course there are difficult issues. It's not always smiles, Cyril, but, you know, at the end of the day, I think that really helps to have a common purpose and a real recognition that there are both private and public benefits here. I mean, the Senators are doing what's right for the team, and we think that there is great public value in having the Senators downtown, and what that means both for the nation's capital, for residents, for visitors, and for the development, as I mentioned, of a larger site that we think is going to be a really exciting destination.
Got Mia over here.
Hi, Mia Jensen from the Ottawa Business Journal. You've been in this, for Cyril, you've been in this location for, you know, a couple decades now in the Canada area. So just, you know, I know you don't know what you're going to do with the CDC and this land just yet, but what kind of message do you have to the businesses of Canada, the residents of Canada who have gotten used to having you here and having the traffic driver that is the CDC for their establishments?
I guess two things. First is we're going to be here for a while yet, so that's the good news. And I would thank them. I think we've been good for the businesses here, and the businesses certainly have been good to us. We've had great support from the Canada residents, Canada businesses, people in the area, whether it's the Valley or Stittsville, West Carleton. It's been this has not been a bad location for this team the last 28 years. We just believe that for the next 50 years, the next couple of generations, the right place for the team which should be downtown.
And just to follow up on that, this has been kind of a high pressure situation, a lot of you know, expectation placed on both of your organizations here. We talked to lots of business leaders in the last couple of weeks who have kind of set their sights pretty high on what this kind of arena could do for the downtown core and other areas of the city, for businesses, for you know, the city's reputation in general, for tourism. So how do you kind of temper those expectations going forward? You know, people were talking about how they would be extremely disappointed if this deal didn't go through, and that's something that could, you know, come up again as this process continues to, you know, go on for years to come. So how do you deal with the pressure and the expectations from all these different players in the city?
I think pressure sometimes is good, whether it's in sports or business, kind of helps, again, focus the mind. I take this as a personal challenge. Like I'm kind of committed. One of the reasons I came back to the team when Michael asked me was I thought it was important to have an arena downtown. So I'm personally committed to that process, want to make it happen. I feel the same, having talked to Tobi and his team. I feel that the NCC is really committed to trying to help work with us to make that happen. And they said earlier, across the community, whether it's talking to the folks at the city, whether you're talking to business leaders, residents, everybody wants this to happen. So I think as a community we can do it together, and I look forward to that challenge.
We've got a couple more follow-ups here.
Yeah, just
Wayne.
just two quick ones. We know this site is on unceded Algonquin territory. Just wondered if the Algonquin leaders have been involved in these talks all along.
So what I mentioned in my opening statement is we have been engaged with the Algonquin Nation actually for some time, and we are working on a partnership agreement with them. They're going to be very, very important partners to us at the NCC for the reasons you said. It is unceded Algonquin territory. So those conversations are continuing, and you know, we're very excited to have them be part of the broader project, and so it's good news.
And Cyril, you talked about the site cleanup plan. Is there contaminated soil on this area as well, and who's responsible for removal of that?
There is, and that's part of our business agreement is, that's got to get cleaned up as part of this process. So either of us can do it, but we've got to work that out as we go forward.
Hearing you list the steps that needs to happen before we get to the point where you actually build something.
And I missed a few too, so there's a few more.
Yeah, and I guess all these steps where, like, unfortunately, this could end badly. I was just curious to know at which point in the process will the Senators actually become owner of the land?
Just to be clear, like every project that goes on, whether it's you're building an office building, apartment building, retirement home, shopping mall, you have that list of things that have to get done. So while it's daunting and there's a lot of work that has to take place, again, we're confident we can get through that and make that happen. So
The question was, when in the process will the Senators actually be owner of the land?
at some point next year, 2025, like that's the goal.
Just a real quick one. You mentioned that you were interested in more than the 10 acres that were available. Is there space to add more land in this agreement?
Well, there is more land, but we're focused on the agreement that we've got with Tobi and the NCC, and again, as I said, we've got commitments from the NCC that they will develop the lands on a time frame that will work for the opening of the arena, so that we know that we've got other lands coming on stream, and that there's going to be things for people to do when they come to hockey games.
Just a follow-up, Cyril, as you're saying, this could be a long process, right? And we know this is an aging building, you've already done some improvements. Is there still gonna be sort of that desire, I guess, to maintain this facility and improve it as this other project is ongoing?
Yeah, we will, for sure. We've known that we would like to be downtown, so we made an investment this year. We'll make a similar size investment next year. When the shovels go in the ground, does that start to taper off? Probably, but there'll always be money going back into this building probably until the day we move out, because you just have to keep the plant up to speed, and you're bringing between 1.5 and 2 million people a year here. You've got to maintain it.
All right, and I think we'll wrap up. Mia's got one more here.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, once the Senators actually own the land, what's the NCC's role in this project, if any, going forward?
You have a big role.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because, as I said, this is one key parcel, but within the context of a broader development, there is going to be all sorts of important moments of cooperation and coordination. I mean, we have to make sure that we're helping to facilitate the movement of fans in and out of the site, because I think in many of the cases when the fans leave the arena, they'll be going on to that public space that I mentioned, the Aqueduct District. So, I mean, this is an agreement, but this is also a partnership.
Terrific. Thank you very much, everybody, and we can go enjoy some nice weather here.